Hello class, today we're going to be going over lesson 2.2, how to determine unit rates with ratios of fractions. So this is going to be very similar to lesson 2.1 where we were finding the rate, ratios, and the unit rates of different problems. However, now we're specifically going to be working with fractions. So that being said, let's go over here to our key concept. So today we're going to be finding units rates with ratios of fractions. So remember, that was yesterday. Remember, a unit rate is a rate where we compare two quantities. However, the second quantity always has to be 1. So that's what's unique about a unit rate as opposed to a rate. A unit rate always compares it to a 1. And finally, we're going to use unit rates to solve multi-step problems. All right, so let's get over to our first example here. If Juan is able to travel 7 miles on a third a gallon of gas, how many miles can he travel per gallon? All right, so here we want to use the units miles per gallon. So M miles over gallon. All right, so now you may be asking yourself, how are we going to set up this ratio here? Well, we have 7 miles. So our numerator here will be a 7 miles. And we're going to divide that by a third a gallon of gas right here, 1/3 a gallon of gas. All right, so when we're dividing by a fraction, hopefully remember our rules from way back in chapter 1, the keep, flip, change rules. We're going to keep, flip, and change here. So this is going to be equal to 7 divided by 1/3. But we can change this using our KFC rules, right? So we're going to keep our first fraction, we're going to flip our second fraction, and we're going to change from division to multiplication. All right, now this is a pretty simple problem. We have 7 times 3, which is 21, and then 1 times 1, which is obviously 1. So I'll just leave this as 21 here. And this is in the unit miles per gallon, or MPG. All right, so what did we do there? Well, we found the unit rate using these two numbers here. So this is how many miles Juan is able to travel on a single gallon of gas. All right, let's get on to our next one. So Hadley paddled a canoe 2/3 of a mile in a quarter of an hour. How fast did Hadley paddle in miles per hour? All right, so here our units are going to be miles over hour. So let's set up our ratio as such. All right, so we're going to start off with 2/3 of a mile. We'll put that in our numerator. And in our denominator, we have hours. So this is going to be in a quarter of an hour. All right, again, let's rewrite this so that way we can use our KFC method here. We have 2/3 divided by 1/4. We're going to change this to 2/3, keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, change from division to multiplication, and then we could just multiply this out here. So 2 times 4 would be 8. We're going to get 8 over 3. So Hadley can paddle 8/3 of a mile in 1 hour here. And this is miles per hour. All right, so that was that one there. Let's get into our last example for us. So a robot can complete 8 tasks in 2/3 of an hour. Each task takes the same amount of time. How long does it take the robot to complete one task? And how many tasks can the robot complete in 1 hour? All right, so we got different units here on this one. For starters, this first unit up here is going to be hours per task. And the second unit is going to be tasks per hour. So two different ones we have to work with here. Let's start with the hours per task first. So we have we have 8 tasks we are completing. So our denominator here will be an 8. And then our numerator is 2/3 of an hour. So we have a 2/3 divided by 8. So again, let's rewrite this here. So now we have 2/3 divided by 8. We can use our KFC method here to keep, flip, change. So we got keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, change division to multiplication. All right, and then we can multiply this out here. So 2 times 1 would obviously be 2. 8 times 3 is 24. So we got 2/24, and then we could simplify this down. So 2/24 is the same as 1/12. So this robot can complete one task in he completes one task in 1/12 of an hour. Hours per task. All right, now we want to find out tasks per hour. This is the more usual one that you would be asked to find here. So what changed here? Well, we went from hours per task to task per hours. So it looks like all we have to do is change this fraction here from 2/3 over 8 to 8 over 2/3. So just a quick, simple flip around here. All right, now we're still going to use our KFC method here. So we have an 8 divided by 2/3. Well, that's the same as 8 over 1 times 3 over 2. And as we multiply this out here, we would get 24 over 2, which would be equal to 12. So how many tasks can the robot complete in 1 hour? 12 tasks per hour. All right, so that was it for us on our examples here. Remember, today we found unit rates using fractions. So a unit rate is still that ratio or rate where you're comparing two quantities where the second quantity is always 1. All right, hopefully this was helpful to everyone, and I will see you all in class tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.